Hi guys, welcome to summer. It is a hot and humid day today, so thank goodness we are doing a few shorts for our basic level Pilates today. We're going to try for maybe about 20 minutes right now, and we're gonna do a little bit of everything. So maybe a little focus on balance, but more just everything, a little bit of general. So let's start with our feet right together if that's available to you. Or as close as possible otherwise, with our lovely neutral pelvis, a little softness in the knees, drop tall through your spine, wide across your collarbones. And to do that, I like to think of the little imaginary golf balls at the back of your armpits that you pick up and hold there. And that makes your thumbs face forward. Try to feel the weight of your head over the rest of your spine and not in that head forward posture we often get drawn into. And then I'd just like you to play with your breathing a little bit. So take a regular breath or two and you can take a little note of where that breath is going. And then I want you to take 2 or 3, let's say 3, shallow breaths. I want you to try to breathe into your collarbones and your very upper back, very low neck. So a little sort of a sniff breath, like you're unsure if you're really going to like the smell, and you're just taking a little shallow breath. And then I'd like you to bring the air a little deeper on your next 3 breaths, and I'd like you to focus on bringing it right to your heart, or like your breastbone, center of your breastbone, and right in between the shoulder blades. And try to get that area to like expand forward and backwards. So really try to separate the breastbone from your spine by filling it with air right in between the 2 points. So a couple breaths like that. And then your next 3 breaths, I want you to take that air really deep. I want you to take it to the lower rib cage. I want you to try to feel, you can put your hands on your low ribs, that when you breathe in, that area gets wider and expands. And as you breathe out, that area narrows and relaxes. And then I want you to take the air even deeper. You've filled your lung capacity now, but you can draw that air. You can direct it deeper. You can try to fill other tissues. So I want you to try to feel on your next 3 breaths that you get that air going and filling the pelvis. So try to feel the low belly and the sacrum bone, the back of the pelvis, the tailbone bone. I want you to try to feel those points. Fill and expand as you breathe in, and narrow as you breathe out. And that really brings your whole core into that breath. Isn't that nice? Good. And then keep that lovely deep breath going. Float the arms up to be shoulder width apart, just at first, so you can focus on your wide collarbones. But then you're going to try to keep the wide collarbones and put the hands together. You just don't want hands together and getting crunchy in the shoulders. So, and from here, we're going to go wide into like a V with the feet as you breathe in, and wide with the hands. Wide with the arms, as if you had your back up against a post and you're not letting any part of your spine move away from the post, including the head, but you're reaching those arms behind you to get a nice opening across the chest. And then exhale to bring everything back in. And this is basic, yes, but this is harder than it looks. It's hard to keep the pelvis, the center of the pelvis, over the heels, the weight of the pelvis over the heels. We often get the little like waddle back and forth with the pelvis as we do that. And as we do the arms, there's a really big tendency to thrust the ribs forward as we get wide across the chest, so you'd have a big space behind your rib cage in the back, or to let the head go forward. So you feel like the center of you is being pulled back towards that imaginary post behind you, and the rest of you, the limbs, are what's moving. Let's just do a couple more where that's our intention. Breathe in, get wide. Exhale to bring it all back together. Beautiful. On the next one, you're going to hold the feet in their little V. You can bring the hands to the hips, and we're going to do a little rolling through the feet. So keeping that back against the imaginary post behind you, you are bending at the knees, really getting into your ankles there, even a little bounce to try to feel a little release, a little flexibility. On your exhale, even weight across the knuckles as you raise the heels. Even weight across the knuckles as you straighten the knees, and then put the heels back down on the mat. So it's those 4 positions. Knee bend, heel raise, knees straight, heels down. Boom, 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 boom. And take your time with this. Be a little methodical. Use your breath to your advantage. So you breathe in, then you draw in the deep belly, you lift the heels. Breathe in as you straighten the knees and lower, maybe. I don't know that the breath really matters. It's just that wherever you maybe feel you're wobbling or needing a little more control, you can use the out breath. And often it's when we raise the heels that we let the bum stick out behind us. We lose that lovely spine position, or we don't keep even weight across the knuckles of the feet. Let's make this one our last one in this direction, and then we'll reverse it. So we have a heel raise, then we bend the knees, then we put the heels down, and we zip it all up. So we have heel raise, knee bend, heels down, zip it up. Nice balance today. And it is sticky here. It's going to be the easy pace class. If you can get to the water, it's lovely. One more this way. Boom, boom, boom. Perfect. And then you're going to, well, you can close the feet for a minute if you want. Just relax the hips. Then you're going to take a wider squat position with those feet still turned out if you can. And you're focused here on keeping the pelvis under the rib cage, under the weight of the head. And all I want you to do is breathe in, sink down, just bend the knees. It doesn't have to be too deep. Arms just out to the sides, maybe directly out to the side so you can open across the chest. And exhale to come up. And if you can there, try a little balance on the toes. So try to raise the heels in that moment. So we have breath in to lower the heels, bend the knees, exhale to come up, and see if you can float the heels. It doesn't have to be high there. It's just that you'll find you have to use different muscles around the hips, the thighs, in the core as you try to raise the heels. Straighten the knees, raise the heels, sink the heels, bend the knees. Straighten the knees, raise the heels, sink the heels, bend the knees. And if it's too much to raise the heels, then that's fine. Just do the squat and up. And it doesn't have to be a deep squat before you're getting the benefits and you're feeling the work, right? Good. Let's make this one the last one here, except we're going to lower down into our squat. And without letting the hips move or your upper body move, I'd like you to just raise the right heel and put it back down. And then the left heel and put it back down. And so the tendency is, as we raise the heel, we let the hip move too. And you're just going for that control. You're going for hips level or pelvis level. And that means the hip has to adapt to what the ankle's doing, and you'll probably feel it a little more in the hip as you do this. If you don't, maybe you're not deep enough, then you could go a little deeper. Let's try one more with the right. Beautiful. One more with the left. Take a nice breath in. Press it up. Walk the feet together. And you have your choice of adventure in this next stretch. We're just going to be lengthening through our side body. You can have the feet just together. And we'll be boom. Or you can take the right foot and cross it in front of the left. Keep even weight through both feet, or keep weight through both feet. Take the right arm and reach it up to the side, overhead, keeping that shoulder down. Try to feel wide in your collarbone and shoulder down away from the ear. Reach that hand towards the ceiling, and then allow yourself to move into a little side bend. So you keep your face looking forward, your chest looking forward, your hips looking forward. The other arm can just reach for the floor or come across you, dance style. But you're mostly thinking about Staying grounded through the outer border of your right foot and reaching long through that whole right side body up to the fingertips. Take a nice breath in there. Use the strength in the side body to come up longer than you started. Release it, and we'll do the other side. This is good balance as well. Optional, feet together, or if you want the harder balance, cross the left leg this time over the right. Hips stay looking forward, chest face, left arm overhead. But as you lift the arm, feel the shoulder drop a little bit and get wide. And then lean into that beautiful side bend and just feel tall in your left side, tall and long. Beautiful. Release it down. Good. And release the foot. And then before we come to the mat, we're just going to take, in standing, we're going to take the arms, we're going to reach them behind us. And you have options here too, depending on how tight the shoulders are. You could just reach them behind you as far as you can with that nice long, tidy posture. Or you could grab like each elbow. Maybe that's comfortable. Or you can interlace the hands or grab a wrist and try to straighten the elbows from there so that maybe the hands rest near your pelvis. Or maybe you can lift them away a little bit behind you, and then you'll feel for sure a nice opening across the chest. So you pick what level your shoulders are comfortable to be at. Take the arms there. Get tall out of the top of your head, and then turn the head to look to the right, through the center, and the left, and center, the right, and center, and the left, and center, and relax everything down. Good. From here, we're going to come down onto our hands and knees. And to get there, if you have some low bone density concerns, you're staying very neutral in your spine. You can use a chair, you can use the wall, you're getting down on your knees and coming forward with a lovely neutral spine. If you don't have any of those concerns, you can roll down and come however you'd like. Perfect. When we're here, just get the hands a nice foundation under the shoulders and the knees, right under the hips. Okay. And we're going to do a little shoulder blade work. So as you breathe in, your head is in line with the rest of the spine. You're starting in your neutral spine. And as you breathe in, I want you to imagine that your shoulder blades are getting wider on your back and you're pressing the chest away from the mat a little bit. And on your exhale, the breastbone is lowering towards the mat. The shoulder blades are drawing in towards the spine. The whole rib cage sinks down towards the mat a little bit. So it's breath in to press away and exhale to let those shoulder blades draw back towards the spine. And the spine will actually sort of melt down between the shoulder blades, sink down between the shoulder blades in that moment. And this is a subtle movement. It's not big, but it's really, it works those shoulder blades, scapular stabilizers, muscles, right? So don't be surprised if you really feel it, even though it doesn't seem like such a big movement. Perfect. Hold it here, 3/4 of the way pressed up. Nice breath in, and we're going to do 2 cat stretches where you start with the low back. So draw in with the belly, draw the tummy button back towards the spine, and let that low back start to round up towards the sky, then the mid back, then the upper back, and then the head and neck drop down. The shoulders are away from the ears, and the collarbones are nice and wide. Take a breath in there, and then release. The head and neck can come back to flat first. Mid back settles back to neutral, and low back finally finds its neutral. Breath in, and we'll do that again. Draw in with the belly, round the low back, and try to imagine this is a wave from low spine, mid spine, upper spine, all the way to the crown of the head. Breath in at the top, and then release head and neck to flat. Upper back and mid back, and low back is finally your last to return to neutral. Good. From there, come down onto your belly. Move my mic. Good. we're going to do a little bit of work with our legs first and then our upper body. So forehead is resting easy on the back of the hands. And try to imagine, before anything else, just that the neck is relaxed. So let the weight of the head sit on the back of the hands. Let the elbows maybe stretch a little wider. Let the shoulders drop down away from the ears. And try to be relaxed in that upper body, because you're not moving it. You don't need to have tension in it right now. Feel where that bony pelvis is on the mat. Try to bring the legs right together. Try to bring the knees together, the feet together. They might not touch, but you just bring them as close as possible. Breath in to prepare. And before you move the leg, I want you to draw in with the low belly. I want you to imagine keeping your pubic bone rooted to the mat or tucking your tailbone down a little bit between your legs. And then I just want you to bend the right knee and not allow anything in that pelvis or low back to shift, and then straighten it back out and do the left. And try to imagine if you had like a window pane between your legs, or a little skinny wall, that each leg would brush and stay close to that midline, would stay against that window pane as you bend the knee and as you straighten it back out. As you bend the knee and as you straighten it back out. And our little cheats, are the things that go wrong here, are that the hip lifts as we bend the knee. We get space here that we didn't have when the knee was straight. Right? So that's one thing to look for. Right? Or we let the low back really arch, and that's why you're drawing in the belly. Keep that low back nice and neutral as you bend the knee and as you straighten it back out. Good. Let's make that one the last one. And then still keeping the legs narrow if possible, let's do a straight leg raise. So once again, draw in with the belly, squeeze the right bum cheek, and float the right leg, and put it back down. And then the left, and back down. And in this series, it's always nice to do a self-check if you're doing this at home, because it's hard. You have the fingertips under the hip pointers, and as you raise the right leg, you're really trying to feel that there's no shift in the pelvis. There's no increased pressure of that hip bone on the fingers as you raise the leg. And that's often really hard. It's a hard pattern to break if you do tend to move this way, but it's worth it if you do have any back pain, especially low back pain. It just helps you to get a little more movement at the hip, and that sometimes can take a lot of stress off the low spine and make life so much more comfortable. One more with the right, and one more with the left. Beautiful. Lower it down. Come to have the hands just out to your sides, like forearms on the mat. You can put the forehead down on the mat. And we're just going to, on your out breath, draw in with the low belly. Try to feel like you're lengthening the spine as you lift the face, the throat, the breastbone. You stay wide across the chest, wide between your shoulder blades. Breath in at the top and then peel back down. Good. Breath in. Exhale to lift. And breath in to peel back down. So each time before you lift, you're feeling that low belly draw in. That spine lengthen as you lift. Good. Peel it down. Good. Holding this one up, just at wherever you feel you're comfortable and able to keep the form in your low back. Keep that idea of the tailbone being tucked a little bit. And on your exhale, see if you can float the right arm. Just bring the forearm off the mat and nothing shifts. And place it back down. And then the left. And each time, in order to do that, you have to feel like you draw in with the low belly, that you use the abdominals to support what the back muscles are going to ask the spine to do, which is stay still. So as you lift the arm, the back muscles are going to say, hey, we got to work harder. And the abdominals are going to have to respond accordingly, or you're going to have some pain, or, I mean, maybe not today, but someday. Good. If you feel good with the single arms, then we're just going to try 2 where we lift both arms. And your goal as you lift both arms is not to lose the height in the face and throat. Lower it down. Breath in, drawing with the low belly, nice and steady. Lift both arms. Beautiful. Good. Lower the arms, lower the face. Bring the hands behind the cage or underneath the shoulders. And you're just going to press back. Taking your time where you've been in a bit of extension, but just rocking the hips back towards the heels. You can have the hands under the forehead if that is what feels more comfortable, or you can have the knees a little wider, but if possible, you lower the forehead to the mat. You wrap the hands around by the feet. You just let the whole spine try to round a little more as you breathe in, and you let those hips try to soften as you breathe out. Try to bring the sit bones down towards the heels. Good. Lovely. And on your next out breath, you're going to use the hands, especially if you have some low bone density. You're going to find your neutral spine. So you're going to really extend long out of your spine. You're going to use the hands to help you as you come up. Good. And then we're going to come down onto our side. Good. And we're going to do 2 different exercises on our side today. If your bottom arm isn't comfortable like this to be your pillow, then you can cradle it with a bent elbow, or you can put a little cushion, of course. Try to feel that the knees are up, they're bent high in front of your hips. So we're not in our clamshell position where the knees are down a little lower. You really have the knees up, and you have the feet towards the outer edge of the mat, or a little beyond. The knees should look the same length, and then you're not going to look at them anymore. You're going to look out with good head posture. Top hand can be on the pelvis to monitor for movement. And we're going to lift the top knee and lower it down. Exhale to lift the knee. Inhale to lower it down. Once you get the idea that the knee is leading the way, you can start to lift the whole foot. So knee lifts and foot follows along for the ride. Lower it down. And do it again. And down. And down. And this is a really nice exercise for the outer hip muscles, the deep hip rotators. It's a nice movement flexibility-wise for our hips. Yeah. And that's what we're focusing on today, is feel-good movements in the hips, I guess. Let's make that the last one of the bent knee lift. And then I want you to straighten out the leg. Leave the bottom knee bent, but straighten out that top leg so that if someone looked at you from above and saw your spine and torso, they'd see like the leg lines up with it. And you're going to float the leg so it is parallel to the floor. If the hand needs to be on the mat for a little support, it can be. But now we're going to circle the leg. And I want you to bring it forward. This is a big circle because you got this base of support here. Up and around and behind you. But your goal is not to move the waist. So this is all from the hip joint. You're trying to keep the pelvis nice and still, so you can put your hand on the pelvis to feel for movement. You want to keep the waist nice and still, so as the leg comes in front, you want to be strong in your back muscles. As it comes overhead, you want to try to keep the space between waist and mat. And as it comes behind you, you have to be strong in the abdominals, or else the back will try to come in and help. It always wants to help. Let's reverse the circle. Sorry, you're probably feeling that in the hip. Other way. Yeah. So for wherever you feel that the circle's a little more difficult or there's a little wobble, you can use your out breath there. As long as you're breathing once per circle, that's fine. Make that one your last one. Hold it here. Try to lengthen a little more out of the tips of your toes so you're long through that whole top side of the body. And then bend the knee, bring it in. And relax. You're done, except for the other side. So starting with those knees bent up in front. top hand on the pelvis if you don't need it on the mat for support. Get that organization in the head and neck so you're relaxed. And then when you're ready, on your out breath, you're starting with that single, just the knee lifting and lowering back down. And the knee lifting and lowering back down. Gorgeous. And then you're going to lift the whole leg when you're ready, but the knee is always just that little bit higher than the foot. That's our focus here, is to get that, a certain rotation at the hip, some external rotation it's called. Sometimes people's movement pattern is to lift the knee, the foot first, and that wouldn't be like, horrible exercise to do. It's just that it's not our goal right here. Our goal is to keep the waist nice and still, the pelvis nice and still as we raise the leg, and the knee is leading the way. And you're trying to open the hip. You're trying to get that knee high without the pelvis rolling or the waist moving. Let's do 2 more. Beautiful. Good. Last one. Lower it down. Straighten that leg out so it's in line with the rest of the spine. Try to make it longer. Before you start doing your circles, try to really reach. You should imagine you're light. You've got a little space between waist and mat, just enough to put your fingers there. And now try to make the circle big, but big with control. Bring the foot forward. Raise it up and overhead. Reach it behind. And do it again. Use your out breath where you need it, and also as the leg goes behind you, sometimes that's a difficult movement for us, I guess. So as the leg goes behind, imagine it's the thigh bone going behind. You're not bending the knee, and you're also imagining at that moment that you keep the tailbone tucked forward. So try to keep that tailbone or that pubic bone drawn forward as the leg goes behind you, and that might help to steady the waist. Reverse your circle. Try to think of, if you had a string on your toe and someone was just pulling and trying to lengthen you through that whole circle. They're pulling you towards the end of your mat. Try to get a lot of traction, distraction at the hip, whole length in that leg. Beautiful. Very nice. Good. Pause. Try to lengthen a little more. Breathe and release. Good. Perfect. Come on to hands and knees from there. And come up to tall kneeling. And if you, let's try to come up without using our hands is what I'm going to do. So choose a leg and put it forward. And then say, that's probably your favorite leg, so put the other leg forward. Yes. And now, you can put the hand on the thigh if you need to, or if you don't, great. Come into more like I Dream of Jeannie. And when you're ready, use your out breath, press into that front leg, use the strength in that front hip and thigh to press up and come to stand. Of course, you can come to stand however you can get there, but that's just your little extra bonus challenge that we like to work on for fall prevention. So coming to stand though, when you're ready, feet back together as they were when we started. Nice tall posture. And all we're going to do is a nice breath in. Arms can float overhead. Shoulders stay down on your exhale. Arms down in tension. And again. And press them down. And there you go. Perfect. Hope that feels good in your body. Join us for a little additional core after this if you want to tack it on. And we might even have time to do some all fours. So I will see you when you have time for another one. Have a beautiful day. Ciao.